Robert E. Lee is a towering figure in American history. Of course, he fought for the Confederacy, he owned slaves, but he also played an indispensable role in post-war Reconstruction that was just instrumental in reuniting the country. In fact, Lee has long been respected and even admired by Northerners and Southerners alike.
Anyway, so Robert E. Lee's statue was taken down. It was cut to bits, which was a nice added little bit of fun. It was the biggest Robert E. Lee, I think the biggest Confederate statue that has been taken down so far. And that's good, but unfortunately, that can't happen without people like Laura Ingraham. And we'll get to Donald Trump taking this opportunity to talk about how awesome this guy that massacred his fellow Americans, owned people. Well, yeah, that's true, but he did other good stuff too. I don't know. I personally think that you had to be a really nice guy to make up for owning slaves. Ben, what do you think?
That butt that Laura Ingraham threw in there, sure, he was a mass murderer. Sure, he was a slave owner, but it's doing a lot of work there, Laura. But she's there for that purpose of laundering white supremacy into the mainstream through Fox News. And I'm glad in terms of this specific monument, it's enough. The Confederacy lost. I think we've entertained losers long enough. Let's remove all of them. And matter of fact, why do we even allow that flag of treason to be flown in this country? What do you think happens to people who fly the Nazi flag in Germany? This was treason, and a lot of people died because of it. So govern yourselves accordingly.
Yeah, and in the chat they're asking, when did that statue go up? Why did that statue go up? It's a good point. Yeah, there was a lot of renewed interest in figures like that a whole long time after the conflict they lost, that they started and they lost. It was one of the biggest historical instances of F around and find out. They did. They did. Anyway, yeah, so look, she's not the only one. Her take is dumb. Yeah, we never would have reunited without him. I mean, if they hadn't tried to split the country in half and killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, I guess we wouldn't have had to reunite. That would have been cool. So that's a dumb historical take. But she can't look like the dumbest for long because Donald Trump put out a statement. You can see here, official Save America letterhead and all that. We're not gonna read the whole thing, but here's what he said. Robert E. Lee is considered by many generals to be the greatest strategist of them all. President Lincoln wanted him to command the North, in which case the war would have been over in one day. Robert E. Lee instead chose the other side because of his great love of Virginia and owning people, and except for Gettysburg, would have won the war. He should be remembered as perhaps the greatest unifying force after the war was over, ardent in his resolve. He definitely didn't write this, by the way. Dude did not use the word ardent. He didn't do it. Anyway, ardent in his resolve to bring the North and South together through many means of reconciliation and employing his soldiers to do their duty in becoming good citizens of this country. By like starting the KKK and stuff. Our culture is being destroyed and our history and heritage, both good and bad, are being extinguished by the radical left. And we can't let that happen. If only we had Robert E. Lee to command our troops in Afghanistan, that disaster would have ended in a complete and total victory many years ago. What an embarrassment we are suffering because we don't have the genius of a Robert E. Lee. So that's why we failed in Afghanistan. It's not the graveyard of empires. We just needed to resurrect that old racist.
Judd, the president, the former president, we refer to him as -45 over on our channel. He never fails to outdo his ignorance because the last thing we want, I thought he didn't like losers, right? I thought he didn't like people who lost. Robert E. Lee is the biggest loser in American history. Deal with it.
Yeah, and you can be like, well, it was really difficult. Like the North had so many more people, and so then it was a really stupid thing to go against them. So you were a loser going in, you were a loser going out. You didn't have to fight, you didn't have to own the slaves, you didn't have to do any of the horrible, evil things that you did. So anyway, I'm glad that they took down the statue. I'm gonna guess that Robert E. Lee wouldn't have been able to, take our troops to victory in Afghanistan. Like of all of the conflicts to say he could have saved, a protracted, brutal civil war clearly isn't his forte. Like that's not the one he could have done. You idiot, you dunce. But neither of them even care about Robert E. Lee. They both live in New York, or did. They're not interested in that. It's this weird cosplay. It's one thing if you actually love the Confederacy in 2021 and you have the flag hanging off the back of your Silverado or whatever. That's bad enough. That's sad enough. But pretending as a Northerner to be into it so that racist Southerners like you, that's even sadder, I think. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, John, actually, I think that's the take right there. I think that's the one that we need to pound through the discourse, because let's be real, Tucker Carlson, Fox News is not a person in that Manhattan block that you all love so much that actually loves you back, South. So you should just kind of let that go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tucker Carlson like occasionally imagines himself on the patio of a plantation. That's the only thing that can get him. I'm not going to finish the sentence, but anyway, that doesn't mean they want to live there. They don't care. They're not interested in your part of the country. God, getting played by either getting played by rich real estate billionaires and Swanson heirs thinking that they care about you. Sad, baby.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.